Tesla has outlined its future at their battery day yesterday, and today, less than 24 hours later, their futures got a little more competition, specifically for the Model Y, as Volkswagen has unveiled ID4 for, I am assuming, the sole purpose of not letting the electric car journalists sleep. ID4 is a good-looking SUV with a decent range and a great price. I'll tell you about all the specs in just a second. I will also give you my personal first impression, as I was able to check it out in person about a week ago, and of course, we will compare it to the Model Y, and the first dibs will go to the Volkswagen Group of America CEO, who will join us later in the video. Are you ready to add another electric car to the list of your choices? Let's get to it. Welcome to E4 Electric, your #1 source of electric car scoop. If this is your first time here, don't forget to click on the subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Volkswagen called this the most important launch since the Beetle. That's a pretty big statement. Let's see if they can back this up with the specs. ID4 was launched globally today and will be available in China, Europe, and of course all the 50 states here in America. ID4 is actually entering the production now, and the first deliveries of its first edition at around $44,000 will start in December. The first edition will have around 250 miles of the estimated EPA range, and you can reserve yours for just $100. And of course, that deposit is refundable. And then the regular run of what they're calling ID4 Pro will start in the first quarter of the next year at just under $40,000. That's before the federal tax credit. So here in the United States, depending on which state you live in, the ID4 can cost you something very close to just $30,000. But then 1 year later, in 2022, Volkswagen will start making these babies here in the United States, and the starting price will go down all the way to $35,000. The ID4 will be available in a rear-wheel drive with 201 horsepower and an 82 kilowatt-hour battery with 77 kilowatt-hours available, and later on an all-wheel drive with a 302 horsepower and the same 82 kilowatt-hour battery. Let's talk about charging. The ID4 will be able to DC fast charge at the maximum rate of 125 kilowatts, and it will come, and this is a big deal, with 3 years of unlimited fast charging with Electrify America. This is essentially the best fast charging deal that you can get with a new electric car here in the United States. The only other manufacturer that has the same deal is Lucid for their upcoming electric sedan Air. And since we just had the battery day, we gotta talk about the batteries, of course, but Volkswagen's got something very interesting going on. They have several battery cell suppliers that they're working with, but Volkswagen is the one that's supplying them with specs, with a recipe, if you will. And that gives them full control of what goes into those batteries, their IP, which they hope will keep them competitive, but at the same time, enough suppliers to provide them with enough batteries to launch a mass production of this SUV. As I mentioned before, I was able to check out the ID4 in person about a week ago, so let me give you my personal first impression. But before that, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by KANDI AMERICA. The most affordable electric car in the United States, K27, starts just under $10,000 after the federal tax credit, and their second model, K23, for just under $20,000. Deliveries start in less than 3 months, so make sure to reserve yours using the link in the description of this video. And by Avanex, the Tesla community's accessory store. Use E4 Electric, the name of this channel, as a discount code for all of your purchases over $100. So I got to check out the ID4 in person, and I guess I wasn't as excited as I should have been, because Volkswagen never really made as big of a deal about the ID4 as they did about the ID3, and I just never fell in love with the ID3, though I know it will be one of the top sellers in Europe for sure. So when they finally pulled the cover off in a dramatic fashion, even though it was just me and my assistant in the room because we were social distancing and all of the media teams were allowed one after another, I was actually quite impressed. It is a good looking SUV regardless of electric or not. I like the front. As you can see, I spent some quality time with the car there, and I loved the back as well. And I was quite impressed with the interior. Once I got in, I thought, based on what I've seen in pictures, that the display would be too small for me, but actually it's a decent size. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to spend as much time with the user interface as I wanted to because it was the pre-production car and not everything was working, but it was simple. I think it's very much good enough to do its job, but I gotta check it out once it's fully working to give you guys a full review of it. So let's talk about some really cool features that I really like that are kind of unique to the ID4. And on top of my list is the ID light. It's simply the strip of LED lights that go across your dashboard where the dashboard meets the windshield. This is the most basic way to communicate the most important information to the driver, as we're usually overwhelmed by all of the information that we see on the displays and HUDs and our phones, and the music is playing loud or we're talking on the phone. So this is a really cool feature that I really like. And of course, there is a built-in back massager. And I know it's kind of a toy for some people, but if you do have a bad back or you're driving on a long distance, you know, to prevent your back from being stiff, that's actually quite an important feature. And of course, some things are just cute. Check out this accelerator and brake paddles with the play and pause labels on them. I absolutely love this. I don't know, maybe I haven't seen this before. I don't know if you have, let me know in the comment section, but I thought that was quite clever. And this car was the first edition, so it had some accents and trimming that made it into a very sharp looking car. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, but I absolutely loved it. Now let's get to the inevitable, which is the comparison to the Tesla Model Y. They are essentially in the same category, and I will tell you what my take on it is, but I think the first dibs should go to the CEO of Volkswagen Group of America, Scott Keogh. Do you feel like you're sort of in the same category, you know, without getting a tweet from Elon with your answer? But at the same time, why do you think people will go for the ID4 if they've also looked at a Model Y or also other cars in the same category?
Look, I think there's a couple of things at play. I think first and foremost, look, the Beatles needed the Rolling Stones needed the Beatles because it made rock and roll better. Tesla needs Volkswagen, Volkswagen needs Tesla because it'll get more people driving electric cars. So this is not a zero-sum game, and everyone wants to be, you know, this is killing that, that's killing that. No one's killing anything. It's awesome technology that's going to drive adoption for America. That's the first part. The second thing, in terms of primary targets, I think you're exactly right. Yes, the electric car owner already knows electric vehicles. They know all about them. And we feel very confident they'll give our car its day in court. They'll cross-shop it. What they'll find out, car drives like crazy. $14,000, $15,000 less than the Tesla Model Y, has similar packaging, and it's a damn good car. Fact. But the bigger opportunity, and to me, I always, you know, look to the famous race car drivers and what they say when you try to pass somebody. You don't look at where all the traffic is. You look at where the daylight is. Look for daylight. And for us, the daylight is we have a compact SUV. There's 35 million of them on the road in America at this price point. There's 4 million of them sold each and every year. So the bigger opportunity is not the 240,000 electric vehicles on the road in America. The bigger opportunity is the 4 million A compact SUVs, the Toyotas, the Subarus, the Hondas. So that's why we're putting our effort there. We'll get our day in court. We have an awesome car. Electric buyers will cross-shop it, and I think we'll do quite well. But we're more interested in, as I say, the daylight, not the traffic. We want to open up the whole market, and that's the opportunity in my mind, clearly.
I gotta tell you, I love the confidence of this guy. Usually when I talk to an executive from a legacy brand, they're trying to be very sort of careful about what they say, especially about Tesla. They don't like to compare it. They usually try to say, well, you know, we're doing our own thing. But, you know, there's nothing wrong with saying, yes, we are better than the competition, but do so in a respectful way, as Scott did. None of the, oh no, Mr. Musk, don't send the mean tweet my way because I said that we're better than you. Now let's break down what he said, because essentially the ID4 is a car for drivers, where the Model Y is the car for techies, and there is a market for both. Obviously, the Model Y's got the best tech. It's got the autopilot if you choose to pay for it. There's absolutely no competition there. Their tech is exciting. They got the over-the-air updates, so the tech gets better with time, and it is a Tesla. On the other hand, the ID4 has more of a mainstream look that's still very much good looking, where the Model Y is kind of a cutting edge. And again, there's audience for both. Of course, there's something to be said about the display behind the steering wheel that most people are used to. For example, I just will not buy a car without one. I just don't feel very comfortable, where some people really do embrace the absence of it. And of course, there's something to be said about the brand recognition. Volkswagen is much more recognized and established brand. They have more service centers, and of course, service is something that Tesla has not excelled in. So a lot of people may be persuaded by just that. But the biggest difference here is obviously the price. Half of it is due to the $7,500 tax credit here in the United States, which is no longer available for Tesla. But another part is that this car is simply cheaper. And this is without even talking about their upcoming $35,000 version. And so probably the almost $15,000 difference in price is going to be the biggest pro for the ID4, where the amazing tech and the autopilot would be the biggest pro for the Model Y. Let me know in the comment section which one you would pick if you were shopping for a small electric SUV, though there are other choices, so you're not limited to these two, so have at it. Don't forget to check out my recap and review of Tesla's Battery Day with reporting from Eli Burton of My Tesla Adventure, who was actually present at the presentation. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can click on the link in that corner, but I also put that link in the description of this video. Looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.